Unless two people both make an effort to disclose their personalities, to communicate, to talk on the phone, to meet up, unless that initial effort is happening on both sides, nothing leads anywhere. Double or nothing, which is, can you, at a point where you're trying to decide, should I bother continuing to message this person? Is this going anywhere? Do I have any level of connection with them? It's taking a mini bit of personal responsibility and thinking, all right, how can I try and inject that spark into the interaction here? And then if he can't match me at that level and the conversation still is, how are your holidays going? How's your weekend? And it's like he's not actually listening to the pieces of conversation that you are offering, at that point feeling okay to take a step back and let it go. What everyone needs at the beginning of a relationship or the beginning of dating is we do need an initial piece of investment. I know it's difficult because, especially if you feel drained by the whole process, but unless two people both make an effort to disclose their personalities, to communicate, to talk on the phone, to meet up, unless that initial effort is happening on both sides, nothing leads anywhere. And of course, you can't drag a horse to water, but you can, I think, really be conscious about how you're showing up throughout the dating process, and also trying to make yourself be that person that stands out to him and takes responsibility for the conversation. And I do understand that is difficult when you're feeling like you're stuck between the should you give it a go or is this guy just a waste of time conundrum. And I think particularly for women, something that I think is, again, a really important mindset to consider when it comes to messaging, but also when it comes to all aspects of dating, is when we feel that pressure of time, like we have to hurry up and meet someone, or things are getting harder, or there's no good guys left, like it's like Christmas Eve of the dating site or the real life place that you're meeting someone, and you've only got like the odd shaped, the discount Christmas pudding and the odd shaped carrot left. It just forces us to come to these really snap decisions about, is someone a yes or is someone a no? Because wasting our time becomes the worst crime that someone can commit. Instead of taking that mindset into dating where you feel like you're in a space of scarcity, where you're having to choose between options that aren't so good and you feel demotivated and you feel a pressure to kind of get this area fixed. It's about reworking your whole dating process so that instead of feeling like you should have done this yesterday, it's about letting go of some of that time pressure and actually getting to a space where you can find dating enjoyable again and it's fun again. Not because you're just looking for enjoyment or fun, but because that's your motivation, that's your fuel, where you're going to be actually able to keep engaging with people. So to help with that, I'm just going to look at a really common bad message that you might be sent, and then together we're going to work through a few different ideas about how you could rephrase that to be slightly more interesting. And the idea is, does he double down on your efforts? Does you putting that effort and that intention in, does that help a spark to ignite? Does that mean the conversation frees up? Does everyone relax more? Or actually does he ignore the contribution in the conversation? And that's going to create a really good decision point as to whether you should be keeping messaging him or not. So how are your holidays going? Which is a small variation on the so how's your weekend going message that I'm sure you're probably bored of receiving by now. If a guy sent you this message, what would you assume, or what would you think his mindset is? What do you think he's thinking when he's sending this message? Is he even thinking at all, or is he just kind of writing messages away on his phone? When you get a message like that, which doesn't really have personality and character with it, our immediate assumption is usually probably going to be he's just chatting aimlessly online. He's probably got 20 chats going at the moment. He's just copying, pasting. He's just saying anything really in the hope that maybe we'll get to the place where it's okay, we can swap numbers. So when you get that lack of effort from a guy, it's like the least attractive thing, because you obviously, all of us, the ideal, perpetuated a little bit by Walt Disney, is of course our amazing prince or princess walks into the room and they're just like you. and we feel that intention and focus and purpose from the person that we're messaging. When we feel like someone isn't treating us any differently to any of the other women that he might be messaging, or that he's not putting any specific effort into communicating with us, it's a real turn-off. However, as some of you pointed out, at this point, it's kind of hard to say as to whether he's like totally bored of messaging, isn't making any effort, and those kind of more negative things, or is he just uncertain of himself, saying some small talk because he just is, that's what he's got comfortable saying? Is he just trying to say something normal and seeing how you feel, and then we'll say something more creative later on? Like, we don't really know if that's just, we don't really know how to read the situation yet. So this is a good example of, I think, how even though when you get that message, and I would have been exactly the same, you're probably going to do a nice little eye roll and be like, oh my God, hit the snooze button. At this point, this is your double or nothing. This is where I'm going to encourage you to at least to just try once to squeeze some personality out of this conversation. And if he can't match you, then you can let it go and you can feel like, okay, I 100% did my bit then. So you can feel more comfortable with that. Okay, so my idea one, which I think is my lamest idea, is that we want to create a challenge. You could say, any chance you can guess what song I've got on? Any chance you can guess what I'm cooking? Any chance you can guess what present I just bought? So there's loads of different potential variations on this, but what you're doing is you're giving him a really easy platform to express some of his personality. So for instance, if you're saying any chance you can guess what song I've got on, and he goes Craig David 7 days, you can put your head in your hands and think, okay, maybe not. If, however, he says something that maybe he would give a song and then he would give an explanation as to why he thinks that would be something you would be particularly interested in. So it gives him an opportunity, it's a very easy opportunity for him to make a guess about what you're interested in and how you're expressing your personality. We've also got the bonus point here in a message like this, but also has got a lot of positivity in it. So I think positivity and playfulness is always infinitely attractive. So if we can find a way that even if we've got the blandest message in the world, you've got to think, okay, well, I'm not a bland person. How can I be creative? How can I be fun? How can I be playful? How can I be positive? Even if I don't have the best initial starter thing from him. So and at this point as well, we've given him such an easy route to make the conversation more engaging. Again, it's going to create a good split there, where if he says a one-word answer, like ABBA ? You could just be like, you know what, I'm not going to respond to that. I put some effort in there. I was positive. I gave him a really easy springboard to say something more interesting, and he's come back with nothing. By creating that simple challenge, you also create a framework within the conversation where you are actually the one holding the cards because you've got the right answer. And then he has to do a bit of work to find and discover what that answer is. So it's simple, but quite effective as a way that you can create challenge, where you can create a bit of banter. You can see whether he's got much wit or much creativity that he's bringing. And if he does, and he doubles up and he does say something exciting, there's lots that you can come back with as well, from that space of you knowing what you're about and enjoying the process of him guessing and trying to work that out.